What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Wrestlemania 29. We are almost to Wrestlemania 30 and the final 10 WrestleManias. We are getting so close to Wrestlemania 40. I am getting super excited. I'm at the point now where I'm so excited for Wrestlemania 40 that the days are taking longer, and that's how you know you've got something fun to look forward to. Or for those young guys that aren't aware, we're doing 39 WrestleManias in 39 days. And I'm going to be at WrestleMania 40 live, so I'm super excited for that. We are here with WrestleMania 29. This is the first WrestleMania that I did not watch live. As in, April 7th, 2013, I did not see this live. I saw clips of it. I heard what happened in it. However, did not watch it live. I had kind of fallen out of WWE. I mentioned this in the last review, because of how some of those matches ended, because of how I watched a little bit after that throughout the summer of that year, but this year I had moved on to campus, and I just, my significant other I lived with at the time wasn't into it. My dad had kind of fallen out of it because we watched Raw and SmackDown and all the pay-per-views all throughout the summer, and they were all trash. The product had fallen completely ill on me, and so I wasn't entertained by it anymore. And so I moved on. Obviously, I have come back around to it, but these are the WrestleManias before I had come back around to it, so unfortunately I don't have like the live reaction compared to now. The benefit of that is, all of this was new. I didn't really have any preconceived notions going in, I didn't have any memory of these, so in a sense, I actually enjoyed a lot of these next WrestleManias more because I didn't see them live. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited to hear about how I feel about these as much as I was. So we're going to start with the 6-man tag match between The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton, Sheamus, and The Big Show. Now, again, as I said, I didn't watch these WrestleManias live, but I did watch The Shield live. And I kind of liked The Shield. I was a fan of them. I really liked Seth Rollins. He was my favorite at the time. And I really enjoyed this match because I loved how each member of The Shield showed off their individual skill sets while also demonstrating excellent teamwork. Meanwhile, the trio of ex-champions couldn't get along the entire match, with Big Show mad. Randy Orton tagged himself in. He refused to break up at the pin at the end. He ended up turning heel for no reason at all after the match was done. I thought the RKO on a diving Rollins was fantastically timed. I loved the Fisherman Carry suplex on Roman with Ambrose on the ground. The spear to all three members of the Shield by Big Show was awesome. The Shield's team control was a joy. The only one who really did a major move was Roman's spear to end the match. I thought that while it showcased the talent that all the Shield had, it didn't really showcase their signature moves as much as I probably would have preferred them to. But overall, I was thoroughly entertained by this match. I gave this match a 7 out of 10. Rob was not quite as enthralled at this match as I was. He gave this match a 6 out of 10. Of course, the 0.5 rule is going to cause it to bump up to a 7. But overall, not a bad opener. Another exciting WrestleMania opener, which is the one thing that these WrestleManias at least do right. But they don't do everything right, as you can see in our next match. Ryback versus Mark Henry. Mark Henry would go on to win this match. I was expecting to see big meaty men slapping meat, as Big E Langston would say. Instead, we got a 5 minutes of an 8-minute match watching Mark Henry hug his best friend Ryback. Trash. It was literally 5-minute bear hugs. It was a 3-minute bear hug. Ryback would break out of it, hit a couple moves, and then bam, right back into the bear hug by Mark Henry. It was a garbage match. I hated it. Bear hugs, a few clotheslines, knocking Ryback out of the ring, and then when Ryback finally got some offense in, he drops Mark Henry on his own head. He literally knocked himself out. Mark Henry didn't beat him. He picked up Mark Henry and then dropped him on his own head. And that's how Mark Henry wins. Of course, Ryback beats the shit out of him after the match, but where the fuck was that all during the bell, man? Overall, the match itself was trash. 2 out of 10. Rob agrees, gave it a D, so a 2 out of 10 is where it's going to go, because it really isn't anything else but that. Next up, we have Team Hell No go. Kane and Daniel Bryan, who were the champions coming in, versus the aforementioned Big E Langston and Dolph Ziggler with AJ Lee for the tag team titles. Now, for those of y'all that remember, last WrestleMania, AJ Lee kissed Daniel Bryan, and then Daniel Bryan got the shit beat out of him, and boom, he's done. Almost happened to Dolph Ziggler here. He got a kiss from AJ Lee and almost lost the match because of it, which was a really decent callback to that horrible opener for WrestleMania 28. This was a decent match considering it was given a whopping whole 6 minutes. Daniel Bryan was the most over wrestler in the locker room without a doubt, and he spent most of his match on the sideline, which is a common issue, honestly, which is part of the reason why Daniel Bryan would end up leaving the WWE much later on, obviously, after this, and why most fans, again, turned away from the product. Daniel Bryan is the most over person in the locker room. This storyline was great. Team Hell No had huge backing, and you give them a 6-minute match and you keep Daniel Bryan out for half of it. I don't get it. I don't get the idea behind it. Nice to see Big E Langston get his main roster debut. He got the shine here, but otherwise, this match was over before it ever got time to kick into 7th gear, much less 3rd or 4th gear. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Rob slightly disagrees. He gave this a C, gave it a 5, so of course, again, that 0.5 roll will bump it up to a 5, but match could have been so much better with more time and obviously more Daniel Bryan. Next up, we have Fandango versus Chris Jericho. Listen, Jericho is either going to give you a potential classic or he's going to give you a forgettable venture, depending on how much he cares about the match or feud. He's kind of like Brock Lesnar in that mindset. And unfortunately, he doesn't give a flat flying fuck about this feud. This match is not good. It's very poor. Fandango looked pretty nice. He had a good work rate with Jericho, but there's nothing here, really. It's a 9-minute match. Jericho just tries to hit the walls of Jericho the entire time. Fandango was dancing around the ring because that's his entire gimmick. And even the knee cell at the end by Jericho that set up the roll-up, it was poorly executed. Someone who's just, Jericho's usually one of the better sellers in the business, and he just doesn't sell at all in this match. It's bad. A 3 out of 10 match. I would give it a 4, but I felt it was worse than the previous match, which I gave a 4 to, so I gave this match a 3. Rob, again, disagrees. He thought this match was a lot better than I did. He gave it a C. So I gave it a 3. He gave it a 5 because his C's are a 5. He goes C plus is a 6. C minus is a 4 for him. He gave it a C. That's a straight 5. So it's going to end up balancing out to a 4, which again, I was kind of debating on giving it anyway. But it's still technically worse than the previous match still because of Rob's 5. So there you go. A 4 it is. Next up, we have Alberto Del Rio, who was the champion coming in, versus Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter in his corner for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm noticing a trend here. Shitty, sucking matches. This feud seemed like it was hot garbage, which is interesting because, again, I had still heard about a lot of the storylines going on. I had a lot of friends that still watched it. I still followed it on Twitter at the time because I was just getting in Twitter around this time here. And so I had heard about a lot of other feuds. The CM Punk Undertaker match we're going to be talking about in a little bit. The main event match here. I heard nothing. Nada. Zilch about this match. And it's for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, of course, Alberto Del Rio was never over with the fans. Even as a face. Jack Swagger is trash. So, of course, he's not going to be over with the fans. And you put Zeb Coulter in here, who is nothing more than a far-right extremist. That's what we got here. We got a racist, white-wing extremist Jack Swagger and a babyface Alberto. Poor Ricardo does everything he can to get the crowd hype behind Del Rio. The crowd couldn't care less. It's dead silent. Del Rio effectively moved the World Heavyweight Championship to the mid-card. Jack Swagger, largest auraless wrestler ever. Zero reason to get behind either of these two. Zero reason to get invested in this match. The fluid transition between submission moves is pretty damn good, and the action itself in this match is a lot better than I expected. This match isn't bad. It's a garbage feud. No one cares about it. And Zeb Coulter, it was offensive to be offensive, effectively. Which is weird, because Vince McMahon leans right politically, and we're not going to really talk politics here at all, but Vince McMahon openly leans right. So it's very interesting that he made the right-wing politician here the heel. I don't know. That was odd to me because I feel like most of the demographic this is going to appeal to would cheer for Jack Swagger here, which is, again, interesting to me. But yeah, the feud was trash. Del Rio's not a great babyface. This match was a decent match between two wrestlers no one cared about. I gave it a 5 out of 10. The match is decent. The feud and everything behind it is absolute trash. Rob seems to agree, gave this match a 5 as well, so that's where it's going to go. It's unfortunate. Could have been higher had you made me care about these two, but the storyline couldn't, the wrestlers couldn't. 5 it is. Next up, we have Undertaker versus CM Punk in CM Punk's final WrestleMania match in the WWE until WrestleMania 40. So, since me and Rob have not had a chance to talk about CM Punk, and CM Punk is one of my personal favorites, and I'm never going to turn down the chance to talk about The Undertaker, let's go to Rob with today's match review. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the match review here for WrestleMania 29, WrestleMania New York, New Jersey. We're here with The Undertaker versus CM Punk, the last match of CM Punk's WWE, well, WrestleMania career anyway, before he fades off into the oblivion. What is it, Rob? What does your fist tell you, Robert?
It's clobbering time!
God, thank God we don't have any fucking neighbors. Anyway, so here's my notes for this match here. I don't know who's better at telling in-match stories, Punk, Taker, or Paul Heyman. The man chanting to the urn throughout the match, making well-timed interference. Honestly, Paul Heyman is so fucking good at his job.
Yes. Absolutely
Worth the Hall of Fame induction he's going to get in 2 weeks. He's so good, always has been. The beginning of this match is a flurry of back-and-forth action with Taker taking the lead. Punk takes over for a spell. Taker almost chokeslams Heyman off the side of the apron. A series of near falls. Punk does an elbow up the top rope on the Undertaker on a table. The table doesn't break, and it legit looks like Punk hurt his leg for a second.
Yes.
I've got no idea if that table was supposed to stay up or not. Punk tries to crawl for the pin into my favorite submission.
It was a pretty ugly elbow, too.
It was a very ugly elbow, and he didn't jump far enough. The table didn't break.
He didn't jump high.
Yeah, I feel like if the table broke, it wouldn't have been an issue. But, yeah, it looks like it hurt his leg. Tries to crawl over for the pin into my favorite submission move, Hell's Gate, which got countered into a roll-up and an Anaconda Vice. Then the iconic sit-up during the Vice. An insane scene with him have his arm all locked up and then sitting up while he's doing it. It was a great scene. Crowd went off. Punk kicking out of the tombstone because you knew he had to kick out of one of them. It's become a staple now of these WrestleMania matches. Punk hits him with the urn while the ref is down. The crossed arm pin by Punk with the world's most dramatic pin count by the ref, which results in Taker kicking out. Then they go around in a fun flippy circle of tombstone counter to GTS counter to a tombstone counter to a GTS. Then finally, a counter into a tombstone. That lands for the finish. Another Taker classic, cementing Punk legacy match. His last Mania until whenever he comes to make an appearance at WrestleMania 40. And the final legacy moment before it all gets ruined in Mania 30. 10 out of 10. Absolutely love this match.
Mm-hmm. This was an A.
I thought this was easily Punk's best match so far at WrestleMania. Obviously, he'd had some bangers outside of WrestleMania.
Yep.
Easily his best WrestleMania match. I thought the storytelling him and Taker did here was excellent. It's also the final match of the streak, which unfortunately gets broken in WrestleMania 30. Of course, we want to talk about the match. Also want to talk about Punk. Also want to talk about Taker's streak. So obviously I don't want to make this take too long. So we both kind of agreed that this is Punk's best match at WrestleMania. What do you foresee Punk's... What do you think Punk's going to do at WrestleMania 40? Let's start there. Because it's really the only chance we have to talk about Punk. Because he's not in any more WrestleManias.
I mean, he's currently injured.
I think he's hosting it. I think he's going to end up being the host.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think he's going to host WrestleMania 40.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, and we're probably going to find... Obviously, we're recording this on Sunday. So when this goes up, it's going to be Tuesday.
I feel like he's going to go on the pre-show And then...
No, I think he's going to announce it Monday night. Obviously, you guys will all have known because he'll be on Raw Monday night.
No. I'm saying like he's going to do like the pre-show, and then at some point...
Oh, no.
He's going to be like, I got to go back.
No, I think he's going to announce tomorrow that he's hosting Raw. Well, we'll see, obviously. We'll see which one of us is right. But I'm pretty sure tomorrow in Chicago, he's going to announce that he's hosting Mania 40.
I mean, he's a great talker on the mic. I don't see why he wouldn't host.
I would love to see AJ Lee come back as well.
Especially because if WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of wrestling, right? And CM Punk is a huge draw for the company, more or less on the mic at this point, just because he is hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be foolish to not have him as that, as some sort of commentary host or pre-show.
So, second question here: do you think Punk should have been the one to beat Undertaker? If the options are out of the next 3 matches, if the options are CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and then Bray Wyatt afterwards, which of those 3 do you think should have been the one to, and then of course he loses to Roman Reigns later on, but out of all of those 4, who should have been the one to break the streak in your opinion?
Well, the one that should have broke it overall was Shawn Michaels. Now, out of those 4, Brock Lesnar.
Really? I mean, it's the most convincing one, but Brock didn't need it.
He didn't need it.
This is going to be a hot take, and I'll discuss this when we get to it. I think it should have been Bray Wyatt. Because of how their characters are centered. I think it would have been a good... I feel the issue with Bray Wyatt is I feel like his character was never taken seriously because he never got an iconic win. Now, yes, Bray Wyatt's matches were always... And again, we'll discuss this much more in depth later on, but obviously Bray Wyatt's matches were always more atmospheric versus wrestling. But I feel like if he was the one to take out Undertaker's streak, it would have done a lot more for his legacy, and I think it would have done a lot more for his character, and people would have taken him more seriously and have been a lot more engaged in his matches. Rather than all of a sudden now that he's dead, going back through all his matches, going, oh man, wow, we really had a decent match here. It was a really good atmospheric match. We just didn't take it seriously back then. Had he beaten Undertaker, I think he would have been taken more seriously. I would not have complained if it was CM Punk. Anyone but Brock Lesnar. But I also don't like Brock.
Maybe an early on Bray Wyatt would have... I could see that argument being made. But Bray Wyatt facing The Undertaker at the time that he was, his character was quote-unquote stale to a lot of people.
And I think that's why him beating Undertaker would have saved it. Anyway, as far as this match is concerned, because this is the match we are reviewing, we both gave it an A. Both believe it's CM Punk's best match.
Yep.
Do you think this is a good final match for the streak? Like
at the given time, yes.
Yes. So do you so you agree with Undertaker being the winner here, is what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. That was my main question here, because it's just like it was always a question of when is it going to drop? When's he going to end it? When's it all going to stop? And I was glad that it wasn't this match, but I would not have complained if it was.
I feel like this was the last straw of, Taker's got that last bit of juice in him, because you can clearly tell
that whole counter session at the end was basically he used every ounce of it up. He didn't have much after that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I agree. Any other statements you would like to make about this? Because I want to try to keep these from not being 10 minutes long.
Yeah, real quick. So Paul Heyman's a genius. Mm-hmm. Dude started off as a photographer / bookie. Mm-hmm. And it shows in his ownership with ECW. Mm-hmm. And his storytelling from joining WWE is just God tier. That's it.
Amen to that. And we'll probably discuss him again later, because I'm sure we'll talk about Brock Lesnar or him at some point later on. But until then, back to me. Welcome back, guys. Again, I gave this match a 10 out of 10. As I said, Rob gave it an A, so it's going to end up being a 10 out of 10. Easily, as I said, easily the best CM Punk match in WrestleMania. One of the best Undertaker matches. Unfortunately, the last Taker match that's really worth anything, we'll talk about 30 tomorrow. Because you all know what happens. Moving on to Triple H with Shawn Michaels versus Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. The meme Brock moan. The moan that everyone makes fun of and uses in all their different clips and stuff like that. Yeah, we get that. We get some pretty bad Triple H moans too. God, Stephanie, don't know how the hell you deal with that every night. This is a pretty okay brawl. It starts the match. Brock suplexes him onto the table. Does the yell everyone uses to basically make fun of him. Then it continues to throw trips into the destroyed table. Yells some more. Crowd seems out of it during the first half. It seems like a typical Lesnar match, while also being a typical Triple H match, which is way longer than it should be. Brutally and unfortunately boring, dominating a match. Triple H tries to fight back only to get dominated again, which is, again, odd because usually Triple H is the one dominating, but again, it's Brock Lesnar. You're not going to have someone dominate Brock Lesnar. Brock survives the pedigree. Tripp survives an F5. The crowd is so quiet you can hear everything the front row says, which honestly hurts this match. Triple H hits the the Kimura lock after about 3 tries to Brock Lesnar to make Triple H. Brock Lesnar tries to hit Triple H 3 times in it to try to make him tap. Triple H decides to try to hit him in it. He finally gets him in. Takes some chair shots before dropping Triple H onto the steps. Triple H reapplies the move, gets slammed back onto the steps, then hits it with the 3rd time, gets slammed back on the steps, but this time he DDTs him. It was a repetitive sequence that I honestly really didn't give a shit about, and the commentators had to be the ones to point out that he got DDT'd because there was no selling. It was trash. Nothing was different about the way he got slammed onto the steps, except all of a sudden Brock Lesnar magically hurt his head, even though he came nowhere close to the steps. It was a bad spot. It really was. Bad spot and bad camera angle. Commentators should not have to tell me what happened. I should just be able to see it. Triple H wins by connecting with the sledgehammer and pedigreeing Brock onto the steps. I thought it was a great ending of a very middling match. I gave this match a 6 out of 10, mostly because there was some bits and pieces here that were exciting, but the crowd wasn't into it. The beginning is very bad. I wouldn't say the beginning is very bad. I would say the beginning is middling. The beginning is a 5 out of 10. The middle is a 4 out of 10. The ending is a 7 out of 10. The finish is unique, a pedigree to the chair. Pedigree to the stairs. They rhyme, but they're not the same word. It's a 6 out of 10. And Rob appears to agree with me, gave us a C+ as well. I don't know if this match could have been better, honestly. It's Triple H at this time, at this age, if you will, in this era, and it's Brock Lesnar. And I think I give Brock Lesnar 1 good grade in his entire WrestleMania career. I've never been a fan of him. I've always thought he was overrated. He's just not entertaining to me. And again, you may disagree with me. Never liked Brock Lesnar. And that's why, if the accusations of him are true, it's absolutely disgusting. I won't miss him. I hope he gets whatever he deserves. Of course, again, assuming that he is found guilty, of course. But even if he's not, and they just decide to hold him out, I won't complain, because he's not entertaining to me at all. Finally, we have John Cena versus The Rock. This is a depressing match. The Rock should never hold a title. He shouldn't. Not anymore. This match is boring. It's all rest holds, submissions with no selling, no emotion, no drama. Barely any moves hit until The Rock finally hits the rock bottom for a 2 count. Cena hits an AA. The crowd didn't even whimper. The crowd is just, it's done. It's almost silent at parts. You know, these open air crowds are usually louder in person than on the TV. But this is painfully quiet. The crowds don't care about this match, which unfortunately becomes a trend in a lot of these WrestleManias that you'll see. The crowds aren't just into it because it's WrestleMania. They came here for 3 matches on this card, and that's it. That's all they showed up for. Which, again, kind of scratches my brain a little bit, because 70,000 people are in this arena. You all paid all this money to be quiet? Listen, I feel bad for whoever sits around me at WrestleMania. I don't care if the matches are dog shit. I'm gonna be loud as shit. I'm gonna be obnoxiously loud. I paid over $1,000 for these 2 nights. I'm gonna be loud as shit and get my money's worth. You paid all this money for WrestleMania to be dead silent? I don't get it. On one hand, I do, I guess, because no one wanted this match. I couldn't be dead quiet. Rock tears his hip, hitting a rock bottom in this match. He actually gets injured. You can actually see where he gets injured in this match. He fights through to put on a really good finisher, frenzied ending, but Cena wins on the 5th attempt, second connecting. Attitude adjustment. The ending can't make up for an abysmal beginning. I gave this match a 4 out of 10. Immensely worse than the previous match between these two. Rob slightly disagreed. He gave it a C+, so it's going to end up averaging out to a 5. I don't think it necessarily deserves it, but it's definitely not as good as our last match, which was a B to both of us. So let us go ahead and figure out exactly where this WrestleMania averages out to. This WrestleMania averages out to a 5.5, and most of that can be thanked to Undertaker and CM Punk. That match wasn't what it was. I don't think this match gets above a 5, but hey, here we are. Admittedly, don't think this card deserves an above average grade, but what are you going to do? That's what me and Rob both gave it. 5.5 is what it is. So, guys, you all have a fantastic day. And I will return tomorrow with WrestleMania 30. One of the best and worst WrestleManias. Well, in terms of the contents, one of the most... As far as crowd reaction, it is one of the most inflating and one of the most deflating WrestleManias. Most of you guys probably know why. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, have a good night, guys. Peace.